fantastical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL network.
Yes, that is right. Welcome, everybody, on in to the Saturday Night Network for another Monday Night Roundtable, this time to dive deep into the Jason Momoa and Tate McRae episode of Saturday Night Live, Season 49, episode number 5. I am very excited to be back with you on this Monday, pre-Thanksgiving. I know everybody's gearing up in the States for the holiday, and it is always a holiday to get to talk about SNL each and every Monday with great panelists and everybody in the chat. So thanks to everybody joining us live tonight. Very excited to dive into what was a really interesting episode of Saturday Night Live. I think we may have had our most lively discussion during the Hot Take Show on Saturday. So if you missed that show, go back and check it out. One of the best of season 49 so far. But we have stuff to live up to tonight because I know this panel is going to bring it. And first up, let me bring in my man, Sean Grant. Sean, how are you?
Oh, I'm feeling great. John. And I'm glad you brought me here because I begged you, because I've come for Rich Tackenberg. Because every time I do an episode with Rich, you see, I have to research doubly. I have to do double research to make sure I disagree with everything that Rich says, and I tear his ass apart. You're trying to fool people, Rich. It looked like you got makeup on. It looked like you have a beautiful studio there. You got great lighting, and you clearly have a makeup person, but the people aren't fooled, okay? I'm going to tear your takes apart. Hi, Amanda.
Well, on that note.
Just hi, Amanda. I ain't going to tear Amanda apart. Hi.
Yeah, I was like, where's that going? But
I happen to be here too. Yes, thank you.
No, I love you. I'm sure you. Yeah, no.
All right. Well, since we already said hi to her, let me just say hi again. So, hi, Amanda. Mitchell is here as well. Amanda, how are you?
Hi, team. I got my nails done.
Oh,
nice.
Yep,
yes.
It's fun to show everybody. The thumbs, of course, are the opposite because, of course, happy to be here. Hi, John. Hi,
yes,
John.
Very happy to have you here as well, man. It's always a pleasure.
It's
since you're such a
it's been far too long.
I know, it's great. We're gonna have such a fun show tonight. So since you're such a beauty expert, let me ask you, how is Rich's makeup tonight?
It looks gorgeous. Also, I will say, Rich, I can tell that you're on the West Coast because the lighting is still giving. But I'm excited that in the next hour or so the sun's going to go down and the light will not be giving. So Sean, while you do have a point, we might actually get exposed when he's underneath on
what's crazy
light.
Is, see, this is how I know Rich is actually very rich. He's wealthy because I live in Inglewood. There's no light right now where I am. Is there still light in Beverly Hills, Rich? Is that where you are?
I pay for extra light. I pay the sun to work on an extra hour. Yeah.
I would love your sun connection. If you can send me over the contacts.
It's the top 1%. We're a very we get perks that you don't even know about. Sorry, guys.
Rich is looking rich. Rich is living under his name. Expensive.
I love it.
Well, he may pay the sun, but he is the father of SNL podcasting, and that is Rich Tackenberg. So, Rich, how are you?
I don't know if I am more excited to share my opinions of this episode or for Sean and Amanda to rip me a new one, especially my more pretentious opinions. So I feel like
I am always on your side.
Well, Amanda, you're the good. I know Sean's going to be one side. You're more the true litmus. I'll know where I really stand when I get your opinion. Sean, I'm kind of leaning into it to get Sean annoyed.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah. Speaking of people who I was gonna say sometimes are annoying. Jason Momoa. No, seriously, in all seriousness, Jason Momoa, really, really fun to have him back at the show. Hosted previously in season 44. Right in that December stretch. It was a Christmas episode, and those Christmas episodes are usually so much fun. And I think his was no exception, except it was a little bit, in retrospect, sullied by the fact that we were right smack dab in the middle of the Trump presidency, and the show wasn't as good as it could have been at the time. And my big question mark when I saw Momoa hosting was like, oh, all right, well, he was pretty solid last time he was there. The episode was mid. Are we going to get a better episode this time? Because he certainly showed the capability of being a great host. So I would love to know from all of you, in terms of your experience with Jason Momoa, whether it's through Aquaman or Game of Thrones or some other things that he's done, were you excited when the name Jason Momoa popped up to see him once again? So Sean, starting with you.
You know what? I'm not a big Jason Momoa fan. I know him from being married to Denise Huxtable. I forget her real name. What's Denise Huxtable's real name? Gosh, she's from the Cosby Show. Anyway, but I'm not a big
Lisa Bonet.
Lisa Bonet.
Is it Lisa Bonet?
He's married to Lisa Bonet, and I think that's dope. I wish I was married to Lisa Bonet, married to my wife. But yeah, you know, he's really. I think he played up what I expected of him. I think you look at him and you kind of expect a certain type of character type, and I think he does that well. I think he trusted the writers to guide him through the episode, and I think I enjoyed it. But it sounds like from reading what a lot of comments were and stuff like that, it seems like a lot of people feel negatively about the show. I enjoyed it. I think as opposed to the Nate episode where Nate has his own comedic abilities, the beauty of the show is that you're not necessarily a comedian when you're on the show. When you're hosting the show, you have to trust the comedic minds, and that's what it felt like. I enjoyed this more than I liked the Nate Bargatze episode. I'll keep it real, because Nate, I knew what to expect from his comedy. Jason seemed like he had to trust the writers. He was at the mercy of the writers, and he went with it and played everything as hard as he could, man. I think he did a great job.
Yeah, I definitely disagree with that. I think Nate was the high bar so far this season, for me at least. But yeah, I think for all the things that I didn't love about this episode of Saturday Night Live, I don't think, in all fairness, they had much to do with Jason Momoa and his performance on the show. It was more of like did they put him in opportunities to succeed? And I still think that it was more uneven than I've seen in other episodes this season. But Rich, I'm very curious how you felt, because in the pre-show, you seemed to be a little bit higher than me on it.
Yeah, I thought this was a fun episode for me. So to answer your original question, I know him from Game of Thrones, a show in which he didn't speak English. So not a great caliber for comedic ability when you're speaking Dothraki. I have not seen Aquaman, so I can't speak to that. Maybe fish find him hilarious. I don't know. So I can't really judge him there either. He might be good. What I found interesting about, I understand why he's being booked, because he's got a huge movie coming out. Great that they can promote again. That's so great. The actor strike is over. What I thought about for him, which I think the show executed for good and bad, is, as I always say, is what sketches can they do with this guest that they could not have done without this guest? And in his case, it was about his size. It was about his, him being good looking, being huge. And I think in some of the sketches, we really delivered on that. And maybe we over-indexed on that because that was really all we could do. But in general, I was pretty mixed on what we would get from him, because he's not a comedic performer. I found this show to be very fun. Not always funny, but very fun. Even in sketches that I think ultimately don't work and I will forget, I smiled the whole way through, and I really enjoyed the 90 minutes of this SNL. So for me, it was a win.
I'm glad to hear that, because I do think that, you can't evaluate Jason Momoa and his work without talking about his size. Naturally, like, that is the thing that you see with your eyes more than anything. But I just didn't enjoy in both appearances of him on SNL where they would telegraph that the joke of the sketch is that he's big. I'd rather him being like the bigger guy be worked into the sketch. I think when it's worked in more, it gives a more successful sketch. Whereas when the joke is that he's the big guy, it doesn't work as well. And I guess we'll talk about that when we get into some of those sketches. But clearly that's going to be a theme throughout the podcast tonight. So Amanda, what about you? Are you a Jason Momoa person?
I do not believe I've ever watched a single thing with Jason Momoa in it in my life, including this show. Like, I don't.
Really? Okay.
I was racking my brain, and I consume a lot of content. And I truly was like, I don't believe I've ever seen him in anything. So my bar, underground. But my opinion about this kind of gave me the same idea, at least as him as a host. First of all, I have the text that I sent to Jon Schneider on November 5th at 1:52 p.m. when they announced Jason Momoa as host, and I said 5 male hosts in a row. Yikes!
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, I went on a rant about this on the feedback show a couple weeks ago. I was very, very.
It's embarrassing. It's kind of embarrassing. Yeah. It's not great. And for me, I was like, okay, so like, if you're gonna be the 5th in a line of 5 dudes, you like, it's, you know, it's gonna be this. I hate to say, like, the standards of comparison are slim, but this
and they picked the manliest dude to finish off the run of all the men.
Right, and then you got the daintiest woman in 2 weeks, which I love. And I think that Jason Momoa in this episode gave me Anne Hathaway hosting the Oscars energy. Just happy to be there. Just happy to be there. And it's not, and I think that's, I didn't love this episode in general. And I will say this, I watched it twice. I never watched this show twice. I watched it twice. And I literally, I whooshed over so many things, disappeared out of my brain the minute I saw them. I think, though, I think I also just had a little bit of just male host fatigue also on top of it. But yeah, the monotony of all the jokes being about his size, it's like, it's very, like, Jason Momoa did the best he could with a very limited scope of concept and ideas for what he could create. And I think that, to me, is the only thing that I can take away, is that he did the best with what he was given, and a lot of what he was given was mediocre. And so for him to do as good as he did, good for him. And he was just happy to be there. And I love an SNL host who is happy to be there and committing to that, because it is still an honor to host this show.
I totally agree. I mean, I think the fact that SNL put out like a video diary of Jason Momoa prepping for the week prior to the show on Saturday. I'm not sure if any of you saw that, but they basically like filmed his entire week. And that's something we never get before the episode. But we actually got to see him like rehearsing sketches and not knowing if they would make air or not. And it's like something that you can only do with a host that's really game. So I want to applaud Momoa for being just like happy to be there and excited to be there and enjoying it. So it's nothing. It's not, again, it's not my gripes with the episode are nothing to do with Jason Momoa, but like, I do think like, if I can compare this situation to like a host that in stature is like more of like an outlier, I would think of somebody like Danny DeVito, who is an amazing actor, but really small. And he hosted the show a ton of times. And I don't go back and think about all the sketches where they pointed out how short Danny DeVito is, or the fact that he's smaller was the joke or the butt of the jokes in a lot of times. And I know you may be listening and saying, well, that wasn't every sketch this episode, but it was a lot. It was a lot of like building the character around the fact that he's like the large brooding man. And I just think that the things that I enjoy, like if this is Jason Momoa's last time hosting up at SNL, in a few years from now, when I think about his experience in 44 and 49, I'm going to think about all the sketches where he wasn't that, where he was, it was worked in. So that's sort of my 2 cents on it all.
Sound like a motorcycle just pulled up to your place, man. That might be Momoa coming to kick your door in.
That's Brooklyn, babes. That's Brooklyn. Brooklyn, give it Brooklyn.
That's Amanda scream. But
I'll say one other thing though about his size, and maybe it's to what you're saying, John, because so many about the fact that he's such a big guy in such incredible physical shape. When you look at the writing of these sketches, how clear is it that there's not one writer who has ever been in peak physical shape? I felt like they were writing for an alien. Like,
they're all tiny. They're all small.
I felt like if I was writing this guy, I'm like, what is this guy's like? I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, I'm the shortest member of my family. I'm 5'8", and my oldest sibling is 6'7", 6'8". So none of that, all of that, I'm like, impress me further. He's not that tall. Like,
I'm getting buff right now.
6'8", let's talk about it. That's a different level of tall. No,
I like him so much. I'm getting buff right now. I'm getting buffed.
Yeah.
I feel like when we have scrawnier people host, there's writing with such specificity, but when there's someone in peak physical condition, we're kind of just guessing at like, what if he was on a desert island? What if he was like, no one can actually identify and get in the mindset of somebody who's in that good of condition. So
Rich, you've been buffed before.
Why did the Roman Empire have beards?
I don't know.
They didn't? Is that a historical thing?
I don't think that they had beards.
Okay, well,
yeah.
Make him shave. I want to see his jawline. I want to see what it looks like under there. I think it's a lie.
Okay, I have a question for the group. Are we done seeing Jason Momoa host SNL, or would you like to see him host again? Like, have we written the script? It's like we know what we're gonna get, and we've seen enough. Or were any of you like, in let's say 3 or 4 years from now, jump at the opportunity that Jason Momoa is coming back to host SNL?
Oh. Jump at the opportunity is I don't think that's a stretch. I mean, I wouldn't be mad, because like I said, I like somebody that's game, that is having fun and is trusting. Some of the stuff. Well, I guess I'll wait till we talk about the sketch that I chose. But yeah, he was into it, and yeah, maybe it'll be a different batch of writers that will give him some different material to play with. And he'll build on this, I think. Once we get that out the way, okay, you're big, we get the obvious out the way. Maybe he can do, I know he can act and do other things and stretch. But he just got to get comfortable being funny. The monologue, he obviously wasn't as comfortable in the jokes, landing them. But who is? I mean, that's the idea, is that it's for novice comedians to try to have fun with a comedic show, and everybody else carries them through the show. It's not, otherwise just get all comedians, get Bert Kreischer, get, Tom Segura, get like really good comedians to host the show.
Bert Kreischer's a big guy I'd like to see on the show.
Oh yeah.
Again, Sean, all men, you're perpetuating the problem. You're the problem, Sean.
You're the problem, Sean.
Angela Johnson. You didn't let me finish. Taylor Tomlinson. There's some funny way. Yeah, of course. Shout out Taylor Tomlinson. She got the.
I think we'll see Taylor Tomlinson next season. I think,
Instagram. Don't tell her.
I bet we'll see her host next year.
Yeah, she
Rich,
should.
would you like to see Jason Momoa return?
It's hard because I love, we'll talk about the beginning at the end of the show. He was so game and he was just so full of joy in the moments where he could be himself. The telltale sign is I don't think in 2 episodes we've seen one character that I would feel like, oh, I want to see that character one more time. Whether that's his fault or the writers, as Sean was saying, I don't know. But no, I feel like I'd be happy if he was back, but I wouldn't be looking forward to him again.
Yeah, that is a very good point. There's not one thing that I saw that I'm like, oh, I need to see this again. Absolutely. Like, and Amanda, I don't know about you, just put a final point on this before we move on to the episode. Anything that you think that there could be there down the road with him, or have we written the script and we feel good about it?
I think if he hadn't messed up Lorne Michaels' birthday, I think it would have.
Was it not Lauren's birthday on Saturday?
It was Lauren's birthday. I just think it was a bad episode for Lauren's birthday, and I wouldn't have him back.
Okay. All right. Well, happy birthday, Lauren.
Happy birthday, Lauren. You're old.
Let's talk about this episode, which kicked things off with a Biden press conference cold open featuring Bo and Yang primarily as a panda, one of the Chinese pandas that was going to get returned because the relations between the U.S. and China aren't looking so great right now. But in comes Mikey Day for his second appearance as President Joe Biden, and we get a press conference set up, which is actually something that is more infrequent than you think on SNL. We don't always get the press conference, and when we do, it often is pretty high quality. I was going back and I was taking a look over the last few decades at like the press conference sketches. Those are some of people's favorite cold opens, but it does devolve into something else. Like while we're getting the different cast members as the different members of the press, ultimately the attention gets diverted to Bo and Yang as the Chinese panda, which is similar to what we saw with him previously on Update as like an iceberg, for example, or as what was the hot air balloon floating in the water in the ocean. So we have seen this trope from Bowen before, but I'm curious from the panel if they did enjoy this or not. So Sean, let's start with you. What do you think of the cold open this week?
Yeah, I enjoyed once we got to the game with Bowen. I do think that you got in his head, John. You guys criticizing the accuracy of Mikey Day's Biden. I think he was digging more into the register or trying to get like a little more I don't know if it was a raspy quality to the Joe Biden. So it looks like he's trying some things with it. But I don't think it was. I wasn't impressed with that. I thought that he's just funny. He should play it more as himself and be funny and be comfortable in this funny. But once we got into the game of it's more about the panda, I was in there, man. Bowen was killing it.
It's so interesting. I have the exact opposite opinion of you, which is like I like the Biden stuff, but the panda stuff didn't work for me. So what was it about Bowen's?
What the hell? Are you taking over for Rich now?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm putting on my makeup, Sean. I'm ready to go. What is it?
John, how dare you disagree with me? Sorry.
What did you like about Bowen's part, though? Seriously.
No, I mean he had probably the best joke of what was it? I mean he was hitting a few other like double entendres throughout the night, but he had probably the best joke of the sketch with the guy down there. Should have wrote it down. Damn it, I was trying to remember it off the top. But it was like some wordplay thing that he did. He was MVP of the night, and I think that was the start of it. And yeah, he had good wordplay, man. There was nothing to I was kind of bored with the Biden part of it. I mean, it was just, very basic stuff. But then, it was a game. I like the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, like my perspective on this, Rich, sort of is that, I felt like I was starting a new book, right? Like they opened up this new impression with Mikey as Biden. We got to see it once. People were pretty happy about it. And I'm like excited. I read the first chapter and I was like really excited to get to the second chapter, except like as I'm about to open up and start the second chapter, Bowen Yang comes in as the panda and throws my book away. Like I just wanted to see what we were going to get from Mikey as Biden, but I felt like we didn't get that chance. So are you more with me or more with Sean on this?
I hate to say this, but I'm in Sean's camp on this one. But here's where I will say what I feel like we're seeing with Biden with Mikey Day is we are in beta. We are still we're beta testing this impression. What I really like about what he's doing with Biden is what he's not doing. I like that it's not he's 100 years old and he's a doddering old fool. Like I like that we're avoiding a lot of the tropes that you would imagine someone might do when they're finding a character. So I feel like he's good. I feel like the way that he's playing Biden right now works if Biden as a character is the straight person in the sketch. If we need that person to be comic relief, we haven't yet found kind of the game of the character. We haven't found the funny of Mikey Day's Biden. So I liked the beginning as sort of setting up what it's not, but because there wasn't a comedy beat to play yet, I welcomed Bowen's character coming in to give us a clear kind of crazy person. This is now what the game of the scene is going to be that Biden then could react off of.
Okay. Amanda, how did you feel about the cold open this week?
I also agree with Sean and with Rich. I love Bowen. I also love pandas. I love pandas. There were so many really, I'm queen of saying the cold open was too long. It was still too long. Need to cut like a solid minute and a half out of there. Great. Solid. Great. But I think that it had really beautiful moments and really great jokes. And I think Bowen just was put him in a costume. Just put him in a costume and he wants to run with it. It's a good time. I love that.
Keep going.
It's fine. But I think Mikey's Bowen impression is missing the specific. I don't know how else to describe it, but the pillowcasiness of Biden's voice. Like the man always sounds like he's slightly muffled. Like he always sounds like he's talking through a blanket. So I don't know how to figure out how to make that quality and tone in your voice without literally doing that. But that's my opinion. But I think this was what I wish it was like. These are two very different concepts they decided to mash together in a cold open. I think that's where certain points didn't work. But I love it. I just love the press conference element, and I thought it was strong. I thought it was a great one.
You guys are so unbelievably wrong about this. I'm sorry, I have to go through one here, but I just have to say, you are like undermining that how important in the history of the show it is for a cast member to play a president of the United States. Like this is a crucial thing that's gone back all the way till 1975. They made a decision clearly between season 48 and 49 to take one of the most talented impressionists in the history of the show and move him off of the presidential, the current president of the United States, so that he can play somebody who, like, we're all unsure, like, what that person's future is. And like, okay, so JJ gonna play Trump, Mikey probably gonna play Biden down the road in the second half of 2020, in the second half of season 49 in 2024, and into the presidential election if Trump gets that far. Like, that's our expectation here. So there's a clear strategy by the producers and a clear, very deliberate decision to put a longtime cast member in this role who could have been given the role earlier in his career. And we're going to take all of those things, which we all care about, and then undermine it with something that is so not important. So that's what I don't understand.
That's the whole premise of the whole sketch. That was actually, if you think about it, the whole premise of the sketch was the constant diversions that we are taking to make sure that we're not being like talking about certain things. That's why we had Chloe Trost ask him the questions about the Middle East, and then immediately, what did they do? Go back to the panda. It's what the point. It's you're adding to the point, Jonathan.
Come on, John. Come on.
Yeah. And John, I'll add to pile on you. Now, I will say, in Mikey's defense, while JAJ's Biden was probably the most accurate Biden, I think 74 people have played Biden on SNL through the 49 years of the show. He was by far the most accurate, but I don't think Mikey's is any less funny, even if it's less accurate. I think he's doing a good Biden, but the problem that they've had for Biden since since the Sudeikis days, which is a different generation of Biden, that they have not found the game of who is the character of Joe Biden on SNL. They didn't find it with Jay. They haven't found it with Mikey. I think Mikey's getting closer to it. I think he will find it. I don't think that this character could anchor an entire cold open until they figure out what's going to be the funny.
What are we doing then? Why are we doing this? What's the point? Like, if that's, with all due respect, like if they feel that Mikey couldn't anchor a sketch as Biden, why would they ever put him in that position in the first place? Like,
I'm not saying it.
But you're making it about Mikey.
That's not my argument.
I don't think it's about Mikey. Yeah. I think it's about finding the funny of Biden, regardless of who's playing him. We had this problem with Obama. I mean, this was that they really struggled finding what was funny about Obama for a number. Jay Farrow was doing it, and Fred Armisen was doing it, and they never really found the thing that was funny about him as a character. And so they ended up not doing Obama a lot during his presidency, because unless they needed him as a straight man to a funny other character, which is what we just did, except in this case it was a panda.
Okay, I guess I understand that, but if it's like, okay, we're gonna level down the impression from JAJ to Mikey Day because we know we're not going to see it as much, and then we're going to work in Mikey Day as Joe Biden is going to be straight man in every sketch, essentially, so that there's always going to be a kooky character around him so that the presidential impression doesn't matter. I think that's a poor indication on the writers, which, like, who I respect, because I think then we're letting them off easy by saying that, okay, like there's nothing there, so let's just accept the fact that there's nothing there, as opposed to being like, find the gold in the mine, like look for it to find it. I don't know. Am I crazy?
I don't disagree with you on that. No, I think you're right.
I always think the best SNL presidential impressions are the furthest from the accurate impression. I mean, Will Ferrell as George Bush, he wasn't even trying. He was just making up a character. And even Sudeikis as Biden was hilarious. It wasn't accurate. And I almost wish, to your point, John, that they just tried to invent a character to map onto the current president, regardless of his accuracy, just to make it funny. And not go to like, well, should we make him old? Should we make him just make something up? Which they did well with the panda.
Right, and that's my whole point, right, guys? Is that like we could all be right here. Like you can all say that you enjoy the Bo and his panda thing more, and we could all be like, yay, panda. But like I'm gonna just like continue. Like we're both right. You can enjoy the panda. And I could also say what they did with Mikey Day in his only his second time here as Biden, to me, was unacceptable. Like, I expect more from the show to be able to put him in a position to succeed. So those are both things can be true.
I absolutely agree. I agree.
Really?
I agree with me, and I agree with you. Like, absolutely.
I know
not
John
fair.
is wrong.
Not
Let him
okay.
be wrong, Amanda. He's dead wrong. And shame on you, John. And also, I also think that giving him too much of a character, like let's say something kooky or some POV that maybe doesn't necessarily match Biden, right? Just a random POV that you can give any character and let them be funny with it. I think that would have implications politically now. I think the Sudeikis time and even Will Ferrell's time is a different time politically for SNL than it would be now. So to give him something now would be the same as saying that's who this person is, and that's what we as SNL think of this president. And it's just too dangerous to do that, with the way we look at SNL now and media,
I think you're right. Yeah. Can I also defend the panda one more time? Because I didn't get a chance to defend the panda. Anyone who's like, oh, Bowen, he's, now he was an iceberg, then he was a balloon. I'm with exactly the opposite. If his anthroperformanceation of inanimate objects and characters is going to be his niche, bring it. I could watch him do any non-human character all day long. I think it's so great. And I think there's something about him that he has such a great line between he's not mocking it, but he's not taking it super serious, that I just find incredibly funny. I could watch this all day long.
It's drag. Bowen is doing drag.
Love it.
That's what I thought about this for a long time. Why this people don't like it's because that full commitment to a character, to a bit, is literally drag. It's just drag queens. Right. Yeah, I love it.
But and again, that is totally works for me in it. Like, if he's like the center point of the sketch, like I do think with the balloon in the ocean, like that was shot down, like I actually really enjoyed that, because it was like, yeah, it was sort of scripted out. Like, this was probably what was going to happen, but he played it so well. And the lines were really strong. I just think it was two ideas here that got crossed somewhere. It wasn't clean enough for me to be able to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
You're also dealing with the challenge of a event that happened during the week that some people absolutely were like, well, you got to do this, and other people are like, oh, I didn't even know he met with the what panda, what he called him a dictator, what, I don't even know what that is. And that's also the challenge of doing political and topical material in 2023, is we don't, as a viewing audience, we don't have the same shared experience that we had 15-20 years ago. So it's much easier to just go make fun of a panda, whether you know the panda or not. We get the panda jokes, but making fun of the dictator thing, that kind of relies on what actually happened in current events to get the joke, which I still think is a huge problem for SNL these days.
Yes, it's only something they did for 40 years, but I guess we can we can accept that they don't.
The world changed. It's not that SNL changed; the world changed. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep going, because there's so much to talk about from this episode. So we have other sketches that we really want to dive into here, and that's what we do here on our Monday Night Roundtable. We're going to go around the roundtable, and I'll ask each of our panelists to tell me the sketch that they would like to dive into. So, Sean, where are we going to start tonight?
Well, we're going to start with Nightclub Line. Before I get into my sketch, guys, Amanda pointed out how toxically masculine the show has been up to this point. So I'm going to go ahead and take off my shirt just before I get into my whole second.
Okay. All right. So for all the audio, all the audio listeners, this is happening. Yep.
Yes, sir. So we got to be extra. If we're going to be toxically masculine, we're going to dig in, man. We're talking about Nightclub Line, okay? That was I like that sketch. Very clean game. We get it. I love how Jason Momoa was tasked with doing. Don't worry, I'll put the shirt back on before we talk about Rich's and Amanda's sketches, John. Don't worry about that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But yes. But what I love too, man, it was just so clean, the game. He committed to an accent that you heard. It sounded almost Australian at first. It sounded weird, like he had to work his way into that Dominican or Cuban accent. But eventually he got into it. It was so simple. He's just gonna, navigate to something, call the person ugly, right? First he calls a lady ugly, a little toxically masculine right there. right? But then he calls Longfellow ugly, and then then the game gets diverted when the boss comes out and does it to them, right? He has a long story that he diverts. The punchline is that you're fired, and you can see it coming. They tried to mask it with something else, but you know it's coming. Jokes are funnier that way, okay? Sometimes when you see the joke coming, it's still funny, and you just have fun within the framework of the joke. Very clean framework, and I enjoyed it, man. They had fun with it, and yeah, man, I would love to hear you guys agree with me.
I do agree with you. I think this was a very strong sketch here. I really liked that they gave. All right, get a hold of yourself.
Right.
I like that. I enjoyed Marcelo's character here. It reminded me a lot of Chris Kattan back in the 90s. Who like fully dives into a character and becomes like, builds a world around a character very, very quickly. And I felt like we got that here. And I liked what they built in a short amount of time, where he really starts with just explaining to his co-bouncer which
you got the power, you got the responsibility.
And building that line of like establishing each of the bouncers. And I think I said this on the Hot Take Show, this is like coming from somebody who's gone to a lot of clubs and watched a lot of bouncers interact with each other, and I think that it's really funny when you do actually see this play out a lot in real life. And I'm curious,
John, somebody who's like, nightclubs, man.
No, I used to back in the day, but back in my young days.
Look at you.
But I'm curious from somebody who like didn't do that as much if this works as well for them. And I think there was a lot of fun here. Rich, what did you think of Nightclub?
Boy, you do that right to who has no idea what it's like to be at cool nightclubs. Rich, your take, and you are absolutely accurate on that one. You're dead on. Yeah,
What is going on?
You know what? For the ladies, let me put on another layer of clothing. Maybe that's what I should do for this. Yeah, it's going
if
crazy.
You want.
Yeah, I thought this was really cute. For me, I liked Momoa interacting with people online more than I liked the bouncers interacting with each other. So, but I thought it was fun. I liked this. I thought this was a good time.
Yeah, that is fair. I do think like I like the Michael Longfellow thing. I do think that this was an example to me, like what I talked about at the beginning of the night about like Jason using his size to do something in a sketch when the sketch wasn't necessarily about his size, where he like physically lifts up Michael Longfellow and like moves him to the back of the line. Like that type of stuff like really made me laugh and works for me, because it's like the joke is here. Like obviously you're gonna have this huge bouncer. They're playing him dumb. They're playing him sensitive. They're playing this whole like back and forth where he's going like this.
You are an ugly person.
Like that really there's a lot there, right? So I do think that this sketch works in a lot of ways. Amanda, what did you think of Nightclub Line? Are you okay, by the way?
Me? I'm still baffled at the fact that there's a shirtless man. I truly do not know what's
the show's
going on.
Toxic.
I can't take any clothes off, ladies and gentlemen, or else this show will get flagged on the internet.
We still would like our YouTube monetization.
I would like John to have a relationship with YouTube, and I'm not here to ruin it. Anyway, this sketch was fine. Like it was very much there. I thought Marcelo did a very good job, as he always does in these kind of situations. I saw people who were like upset that like they didn't like that they were calling their fellow castmates ugly. I'm like, do you not realize what writers' rooms are like? Like, yeah, like, are you not children of divorce? Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't understand. Like, have you not been lobbed unnecessary cruelty in your direction, unparalleled for no reason about things that are out of your control, or if you have enough money you can control? No? Okay, cool. Whatever. I think I guess maybe it whooshed over my head because I haven't been to a nightclub since 1987. So like I don't know.
Tell us the real year.
I was at a nightclub like last year, like 6 months ago.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
So yeah, but it's fine. I've never waited in line at a nightclub, so maybe that's a culture that I don't understand.
Well, yeah. So up here in Montreal, like the culture of like getting your fake ID cut or ripped up is like very common.
Ooh.
So
Oh yeah. Did you guys have vertical IDs, and then when you turn a certain age, they're the other direction?
No, that was
because
not
I
us,
didn't
but...
learn. Michigan does this, and I didn't learn until recently that was not a thing every state did.
Dang.
Yeah,
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, Rich, you were not a big clubber back in the day?
Boy, that was.
I want to go to a club with Rich. Let's go.
Boy, that would be
That's
very
VIP
sad.
status.
Yes. I think seeing the Pink Floyd laser light show at the Hayden Planetarium was the closest I came to a nightclub. So that really.
Rich, do you have tickets to go see U2 at Sphere? I feel like U2.
I'm not a U2 guy. I know, but I am the demo. I am the demo. I never liked U2. Yeah.
I want to go see U2 at Sphere. So like,
yeah, I want to see the Sphere. Yeah.
I'd like to talk about Marcelo Hernandez for a second before we move on from talking about this sketch, which, a lot of you saw in the chat, and our panel seriously feels that it was good, but there wasn't a lot like there to stretch or talk about it in a way. But I want to talk about how he's doing so far in his career. We're now 23 episodes into Marcelo Hernandez's career. I think from a numbers perspective, like they talk a lot on By the Numbers week after week about how Marcelo seems to be the one out of the featured players that's really stepped up into a more of a repertory player role. Is that how you guys feel as well? Do you feel like Marcelo is like blending into this cast, and is he someone who we could see really like taking that next step at the show of being like a longtime great cast member? Rich, I'm curious your perspective on Marcelo as a cast member.
Yeah,
right
now. I'm already at the point where when I see him starting a sketch that he's anchoring, I'm excited. I'm excited to see him anchor a sketch where his ethnicity is not necessarily a fulcrum of the sketch, because I think he can do more, and he has. But that's something that we often see. Like in this sketch, he didn't necessarily have to be. I mean, he is, but the level of accent that he took on for this wasn't necessary for the comedy. The game of the sketch was actually Jason Momoa, not his character. But yeah, I definitely feel like he already feels like I felt about Bowen by the end of Bowen's first year, which is he just feels like one of the cast, and I think very strong. And I think he's got a great kind of center of gravity comedically, where he doesn't have to do a lot, but I'm leaning in to see what he's doing. I really like him.
Sean, what's your perspective on Marcelo as a cast member, how he's fitting in and how he's doing so far, a year and a little bit into his career?
Let me tell you something, John, because built into your question, it makes me, because I don't know, because you've been real slick tonight, man. It sounds like you might be pitting me in that, because he's in the same class as Mikey Longfellow. So I think what you're saying is he's stepping into it quicker than Longfellow, and I don't like that. Okay, I like Marcelo. He's from Miami, 305 in the house. Okay, and he's doing great. But he ain't staying. Are you saying that if you're saying that he's stepping into it the fastest, which is how you kind of premise your question or the foundation of your question that he is, then no, Michael Longfellow, Team Longfellow first, baby. I love you, Mikey. Yeah, that's my man. You know what I'm saying? That's the homie. So, I hate that we have to do that. I hate that that's the nature of, I feel like that's what you were trying to get me to do. Because I feel like by saying that Marcelo's moving faster, that's going to diss my man Mike. And I ain't going to do that. So, no, Mike first. Marcelo, keep doing your thing.
I love Michael Longfellow. There's no doubt that Marcelo Hernandez is currently a more well-rounded cast member in terms of the types of skills he's bringing to the show. I think that Michael Longfellow is extremely niche, but I think that there's Michael Longfellow is very skilled. That doesn't mean that those things don't develop over
You just
time.
can't do a Dominican accent, a Cuban accent. So what? So why?
Okay. Well, hey, prove me wrong on this, Michael. I mean, I'm happy to see him on the show more, because I personally think that when they give him a chance, he really hits. But again, so the thing that Michael Longfellow has clearly been amazing at every single time he's been there on the cast so far is Weekend Update and doing something direct to camera, and we haven't seen that at all this season. So whether it's his fault or not, it's hard to judge something we didn't see. But Amanda, what are your overall thoughts on Marcelo as a cast member right now, 23 episodes in?
I mean, we talked about this on the Bad Bunny episode. Like it's been happening for Marcelo. Like it's going, and maybe it's a case of opportunity, and that's the way SNL always works. It's luck. It's a winner's game. But I think Marcelo, especially over the last few episodes, we've just seen a little bit the things that he's doing are a little bit, he's making more interesting choices, I think. And I think he's taking a little bit more risk in a way that still allows him to be a team player, but like, you know, like the team player who's like, you know, like just like the one that you're like, oh, that's a little different. So I think I'm excited to see where Marcelo's going. I love him. I think he's great. So cute.
And I hate to say this in defense of Sean, but it sickens me how much I'm agreeing with Sean tonight. But the thing is, when you think about, I mean, Michael's great, Devin's great, and Molly's great. But if it's not a sketch written by one of them, if you're a writer writing a sketch and there's a character that if you think, okay, who should play this character? The characters that Michael would play, you would probably go to Mikey Day first. Like Devin, I don't think that there's as many characters that you would immediately go, well, it's gotta be Molly or no one. It's got to be Devin or no one, but you would potentially do that with Marcelo. So I think he has a benefit of being able to do something, which is, I think, the way that Bowen ascended so quickly is there was no elder statesperson who could do what Bowen was doing the way Bowen did it. And I think that Marcelo's, and so I'd love to see the other, like, I'd love to see what is the thing that Michael Longfellow can do that no other cast member could do, that so you have to go to him because he has it. We just haven't found it.
I think, and if you look at that sketch, if you look at that nightclub sketch, right, the line, how serious he gets. I mean, people don't recognize the details in comedy, what allows other people to go with to score, basically. Him getting so upset and being real about that, I'm really upset. I need to talk to the manager. And he's still funny with that somehow. Like, somehow he is funny. Like, the dude just oozes funny, but he doesn't have to try to land the punchline. You don't have to give him one. He's just like, even when he's asking a question or sitting on the bench, moving, right? He's just a funny dude, and he can play his role and let everybody get off. But that even allowed Jason Momoa to be even funnier in that moment where he was telling him, when he moved him or whatever he did to heighten that. But Michael's just very versatile. It's going to show as the show keeps going. So get off my man, because that was slick, man. That was slick.
Well, I will say I agree with what Rich is saying, but I do also think that Michael Longfellow's role in this particular sketch was a role that I think works best going to him. Like, I don't think if Mikey Day plays the Michael Longfellow, like trying to get into a club role, like that doesn't work. He still like has that like that youthful, like good-looking guy, thing to him that I think works here. Opposite of somebody like Marcelo, who I think was really carrying this sketch, but I think they both had their roles to play. So again, to me, it's not about pitting one versus the other, but I do think it's just interesting to start to see as these second-year players start to develop, who really starts taking the lead here. I think it is Marcelo right now, but the others have plenty of opportunity left. We're only one quarter.
And I would like to add on to that point, actually. If you're worried about who's going to come for the young kind of bro-y dude, Devin Walker's right there, guys. Devin Walker can also do what Michael Longfellow does. So let's talk about and that's not a conversation I don't think you're ready to have, but no one pits those two against each other, and I wonder why.
We're always ready to talk about it. So we don't shy away from anything. But I will say I was a little bit talking about how Devin Walker, waiting to see what we can see from him this season. I feel like he brought it more in this episode than he did in previous ones, including on Update. He was
great this week.
Yeah, great Devin week. Okay, Rich Tackenberg, let's talk about the sketch you want to talk about.
So I'm not going to say that this was there was a lot of funny sketches. This was not necessarily the one that made me laugh the hardest, but the one I wanted to talk about was the airport parade sketch, because I thought this was a very interesting direction for SNL. We've seen this before outside of Central Park. We've seen Halloween costumes. I thought this was a really fun sketch. And I like what SNL has started to do, which you don't see other shows doing, which is social observation about types of people that are not necessarily impressions of people. And I hope that they do it more. When this worked, it was really fun. And when it didn't work, it was not so fun. But I think this is a really interesting area for them to play in. Anytime you put, Bowen and Ego together, you're going to have great chemistry, great comedy. And I like, I Just Flew. So the woman with 3 service dogs makes me laugh. The couple that's about to, the last trip because they're clearly getting into a fight, and about, being vegan made me laugh. So I just think this is so fun. Where I do think it misses, but I want to hear what other people say, is too many times they would say who the person is, and then the actual character didn't add any more detail that we found interesting. And that's what I think, like when they did the people walking outside of Central Park, they did so well. They would say, here's, the old guy with the blah, blah, blah. And then the actual impression would add more detail that made it really fun. And we did that a couple of times here. We didn't do that enough times here to make it a really funny sketch. But I wanted to call out because I feel like if they refine this is something that doesn't rely on topicality. It doesn't rely on, we all saw the meme of the woman on the airplane going crazy, so we have to know who Sarah Sherman is playing to get the joke. And it could create more great evergreen content that only SNL can do.
I could not agree more with you. I totally think that my biggest problems with this sketch were when they telegraphed the joke before we actually saw it. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. So, I see people in the chat talking about this. Like, you sort of, when you get these sketches, like the impression parades, you sort of just pick the things that you like best. But on a second watch, Rich, the Ego and Bowen pairing really worked for me here. I was talking, I think maybe, season 47, about how I thought that they could do Update together and they would have been a really good pair on the Weekend Update desk with their chemistry. And it did show in this sketch that this is a pairing that I think really clicks. One of the better pairings on this current cast. Amanda, what did you think of the Hudson News Thanksgiving Week Airport Parade?
I, as a person who lives in New York, I avoid Newark Airport at all costs. So when they said the line about it being everyone's 3rd favorite airport, it's
fantastic.
Incredibly accurate. I would rather drive to Boston. I'd rather fly out of Philadelphia than ever fly out of Newark. I'm a snob. First of all, I think everything Rich said is very much how I felt. Like, sometimes with the impression parade sketches, you get fatigue. It's like, you're like, there's so much going on, and then you're like, cool, I'm ready to move on. I get the point. And like, especially when you're being told what's about to happen, and then it happens, you're kind of like, so where's the ha-ha-has? Where's the tee-hee-hees? Like, where's the where's the further surprise? Yes. And there was never really a further surprise. There was never anything to jump off of to like really let this sketch. Sorry, hold on one second. It's Alexa. It's Alexa. Sorry. Reminding me to take my vitamins. But I think that when it comes to this show, it's a little bit easier to do these impression parades. You can get everyone a little bit of chance to do something a little special. But it was just fine. It was a fine sketch, and it got the job done. But also, I just love the pairing of Ego and Bowen together very much. I just think that the parade like commentator is also one of my favorite SNL tropes that they really don't. I'm glad they don't do it too often, but when they do it, like this is. I mean, this was the only Thanksgiving content we got in the Thanksgiving episode. So, yeah, there's that.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, John.
Oh no, well, I was going to because that's kind of what I wanted to say in opposition to the Nate Bargatze episode, which was the Halloween episode. I think this one, the cab driver, was kind of a Thanksgiving sketch. I think they kind of finagled it into being one, as with the what was the one with the castaway? I think they were having Thanksgiving dinner or something. But this was very Thanksgiving. It was on the nose Thanksgiving. I'm not familiar with I guess I'm not fatigued with the impression parade stuff. So I was enjoying it thoroughly. Not thoroughly. I was enjoying it. And I did like that it was setting up. Of course, I love the Bowen and the Bowen and Ego pairing, but I also like the Ego and Momoa, because I thought something was happening there. Because earlier there was like a pre-tape. I thought that would be like a through line that Ego was insisting that she do things with Momoa as the love interest, because there was the Rome sketch or whatever where she played his wife. But I think it was done after this. I think there was only 2 things that they did something romantic together. So I thought it would be like a game with that. But either way, man, I thought it was fun. I thought that, yes, I come to airports all the time around this season, and it's fun to see that being poked fun of because, yes, that lady that won't give up the bag. You know why they don't give up the bag? It's because they're doing that plane hopper. You know, when people they're plane hopping. Are you familiar with this? Well, Rich doesn't know because he got money. But some people, when they're cheap, they'll book a flight somewhere else, but really they want to get off at the stop-off destination. So if they check the bag will end up in Houston, but they want to get off in Miami. You see? So that's why they don't check the bag. So that was very funny. And of course, Keenan coming in with the laptop line. Come on, man, that's good. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, I to your point, Sean, about the chemistry between Ego and Jason. This also worked for me more on the rewatch, like stuff like this.
People use that room for breastfeeding.
So did he.
Which I thought was really great. And even this line I liked.
That'd be a tap into Captain.
Yeah, I think that we haven't. It's been a while since we got like horny Ego, and I think she plays that role really well. So for me, that definitely worked. I'd say my favorite part of this in terms of the parade, I think that Keenan's specificity with his line that he kept repeating, where he was like,
"Laptop out the bag."
That just got me so
great.
much. I travel with my laptop everywhere, so for me that was just so familiar.
Of course you do.
So yes, so I got to be ready to podcast at any time. So for me, that was really fun. Yeah, so let's talk about the sketch that Amanda wants to talk about. Amanda, heading over to you.
Yes, I want to talk about Battle of the Sexes, one of the most bizarre choices they've made this season. But first of all, it was one of those sketches that I knew where it was going. I knew what the joke was. I still laughed. And I hate gore. I do not like blood. And I'm actually shocked that this show, which usually tends to like kind of like shy away from bodily function, not bodily function humor, that's not true, but like body liquid humor, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like this show did a very good job with this, of just setting us up and letting us know. And there was that line that Ego said that was like, they like the biggest player in tennis with like this, like the lowest ranking female player. I had to leave the room. Like I was like, it was perfect. I think it was very, very, very gross. In this very Sarah Sherman, when Sarah Sherman was first cast, we were like, how is Sarah Squirm gonna Sarah Squirm this show? Like this show is, I mean, it's not family friendly, but like, how are you gonna make that happen? And there we go. And we're finally seeing they're allowing Sarah to be weird and wonderful and gross. And this was just the perfect amount of gross. Yes.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, this is something that people were clamoring for weeks, being like, when are we going to get something gory from Sarah Sherman? And we did get that this time. So, and I thought it worked. I mean, I'm a big tennis fan. I thought this was really fun. Did I see it coming a little bit? But I think that they went far enough with it that it still made me laugh. Sean, what did you think of Untold Battle of the Sexes?
Oh man, yeah, I enjoyed it, man. It's so toxic. Should I take my shirt off again, John? Can I take it off? No. It was such a toxically masculine sketch, and I love it. But I mean, I'm not sure if the writers were female. I'm not sure who wrote it, but it was so fun to watch. As far as I like that gory stuff and escalating it to the head and still finding way, like hole through the stomach, hole through the head, like still basic escalation with that nasty stuff, man. If I'm being honest, I guess once it happened, I can lie and say I completely saw it coming. But yeah, you never know like how it's gonna play out. Didn't Billie Jean King? Because they didn't say that she wasn't a good tennis player until after the hole went through her stomach, right? That's when they gave that line that she was like the worst ranking tennis player or something. Oh, worst ranking female.
Well, this was to me the line of the sketch, which was Sarah's line, where she goes,
Did I ruin it? Did I ruin it for women?
she plays that so well.
I love
the
it,
line, the Gloria Steinem line about like her being the reason why we have never had a woman president. It was wonderful.
I'm shocked that you liked it, Amanda, because you so pro female, feminine. What do you call it? I'm such a
women.
pig. I don't even know what
I'm
feminist.
a feminist.
There you go. That word.
This
that
sketch
word
was
right
an incredibly feminist sketch.
Was it?
Like, this was actually the only sketch about Jason Momoa being a big man that wasn't a focus on solely on his body. Right, and on his physical being.
And technically, he didn't beat her at tennis. He actually lost the point because you're supposed to hit the ball.
Yeah.
It would have been like if it didn't hit her body, it would have been out.
Yeah. He was not a good serve.
Oh, okay. So technically he
no.
lost. He just okay.
I went to the U.S. Open. I know tennis.
I thought he was dominating her.
But no, like so at that same point also, it's like this was very much a Jason Momoa showcase, but yes, it was about the joke being him being a big dude, but the joke wasn't about the gaze of his bigness. It was about the power of his largeness.
That was so incredible.
She's a writer.
Put that
with a playwriting degree.
Yeah. But I agree with you. I do think that this was really fun. Like basically, I think this is actually, to Amanda's point, like is like a feminist sketch because it's like explaining things away in a very funny way. That's sort of like saying like how like women should get their due because of this thing that happened back in the day. And I think like, and it's so ridiculous that it's really funny. And again, like I think that the contrast between the scene that unfolds on the tennis court, where it's like gory, people are throwing up, Devin Walker as the ball boy is like lifting up her head and running with it, which to me was my highlight of the entire episode. That was, I think I realizes he's holding her head. That was so funny. And I think the contrast between that scene and the journalists that are direct to camera, like in a room, like alone solo talking about it, is what makes the tone of the sketch so strong. Something that we didn't get in, Farewell Mr. Bunting or the Steve and Marty Christmas Carol sketch last year, which is like once the gore comes out, everyone is freaking out. But now it's the back and forth between explaining this historical event that I think makes it feel different and fresh and still really strong here. Rich, what did you think about the sketch?
Yeah, I mean, I also really liked it. I'll also add, to me, the difference between Mr. Bunting, which I was one of the people, I didn't really enjoy that sketch very much, is that sketch was about gore. It's like, look at how funny, look at how much gore we can do. This sketch was not about gore. Gore was used to heighten a comedic premise, which to me was much, I mean, and you could say, but so to me, what I really liked about this is I think we all saw it coming, but at least for me, I did not see a hole in her stomach that we could see through. I did not see that coming. So when we kind of know where the general gist is going to go, but the execution is still surprising, that's fun. And that's what I thought this brought. The head coming off was not that. It was like, okay, well, now I see that coming, and we still had fun with it, but it wasn't surprising to me. But I thought this was a lot of fun. And by the way, shout out to the visual effects on that. They shot this in like 3 days. Like that was a great effect that worked so well when we see the referee through her body. And I thought all of that was really fun. So I liked the tone. I liked the motif, and I liked the use of the gore to make something else funnier rather than just, hey, look at this, everyone's dying because we're throwing coins at kids and the kids are dying in grotesque ways. So yeah, I thought this was really fun.
I also want to add, I think Shauna Lee Diamond would be a great Halloween costume. Just a really great Halloween costume. And also there is like also very deeply feminist narrative about the idea of a man hitting a woman in the gut, in the stomach, you know?
Okay.
But not only the reproductive system mindset, but also like attacking her in the gut and where her ooh, baby. Oh, I think I could write an essay about this. Genuinely think
I think you have a good point.
I could write 1,500 words on this easily.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Here's my biggest question mark is like, I saw in general pretty high praise for this sketch. And I think that the quality of the sketch is, it's a little different, but it is pretty strong compared to like A Christmas Carol or Farewell Mr. Bunting sketches that you could say are in the same tone. But the placement of the sketch is bizarre to me. Like, this feels like front half material for sure. Like, why not put this in the spot that the PDD sketch was? Because I think like you have more viewers on it. It was really strong. Like, I sort of am puzzled by why this would be back half material. Rich, do you have any perspective on that?
No, I don't know. Did they do the gorier sketches post update or late in the night? Yeah,
no, both The Christmas Carol and Farewell Mr. Bunting were both like right before update.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know. Maybe it didn't play as well in dress as they thought it would, or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But Maddie, got a point here?
I'm glad it wasn't the final sketch, because I think that would have taken everybody out. And I'm glad it was penultimate. But I think it was fine placed where it was. I just don't think. I think the PDD pre-tape was in there because they had to give them something because the movie's out and they need to promote that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have cut it. I don't think it would have been in this episode.
Yeah, and our audience knows how much I love ramen. But
I love ramen. It's my third favorite food.
Yeah, everybody loves ramen. Okay, let's go ahead with the sketch I would like to talk about. So I started off the show for what felt like an hour talking about my problems with Jason Momoa showing off his body, only for Sean Grant to then show off his body. And Sean, I felt like you were doing an amazing Andrew Dismukes impression in this sketch because it was, come on, man. It was really,
I've been out of shape. I've been traveling, man.
Yeah, it was really fun to get to see Andrew go head to head with Momoa, who plays the ex-fiance of his wife, Chloe Fineman, who Jason Momoa's character Laird disappeared on an island 5 years ago, now has returned. And I loved this sketch a lot more than I thought I would because, again, the playing on the fact that Jason Momoa is this big, brooding man doesn't work for me. But Andrew Dismukes as the cuck really does work for me here. I loved his role, and it wasn't just that. I saw a lot of people even talked about Saturday, like comparing him to like Kyle Mooney. Like, to me, Andrew does this so much better than Kyle Mooney because I think that Andrew doesn't play it to the point of like pure innocence. Like, he thinks he still has a shot here. And like, there's some confidence in the things that he's saying that really, I love the contrast here. Like, these two lines, I think, are the lines that I would really like to highlight from Andrew Dismukes. So I think does some really great work in this sketch. So here we go.
To old rekindling flames.
To old rekindling flames.
But and to loyalty.
Where he goes, but and to loyalty. Where he's like really putting an emphasis on that. And then this one too, which I think is to me, what gave me my biggest laugh of the sketch.
I know you were on an island, Laird, but I was on an island too.
In what way?
Like, I think he can do that so well. Like, and the thing is again, like, Andrew Dismukes for me has started to become my favorite cast member to watch on the show because I think that he does look very innocent, but he brings this brooding confidence in a way that a Will Forte does, and that to me really, really clicks for me. So, Rich, what did you think of the Castaway sketch?
I really liked it. I thought it was funny. What I liked is the crazy person in the sketch is not the crazy person. It's just he's sort of a vehicle for comedy. And I definitely agree. I loved Kyle on the show, but when Kyle played this character, he was the crazy person. It was always the like, you know, where I feel like Andrew Dismukes is the every person, where it's like, what would you do? You know, a more average husband, you know, if I was in that situation with my wife, you know, what would I do? So, and I also thought that Chloe was very good in this. I thought that she added a really nice balance of, she's clearly more attracted to Jason Momoa, but sort of playing down the middle. So even when she throws in the house into the final bet, I thought that was a great little add to the sketch. So yeah, I thought this was really fun. I really liked the sketch. I don't even know that you couldn't have done this sketch without Jason Momoa, but Jason Momoa was, to me, not the funny thing in the sketch.
See, I think you could do the sketch without Jason Momoa, and that's why I liked it, because it was like it emphasized the point because he's so large. But I do think that you can get like if Michael B. Jordan was in this role, for example, I think the sketch still works.
Sure. Yeah, but you can't put Nate Bargatze or Pete Davidson in this sketch and have it work to the same degree, because then we have to pretend that, okay, this person is so much more attractive than Andrew Dismukes. But you're right, it doesn't have to be a large person. It just needs to be someone who sells that point. Yeah.
Amanda, what did you think of the sketch?
I mean, I liked it. I thought it was great. Was it my favorite Dismukes moment of the night? No, it was not. We're going to get to that in a second. But this sketch, I think my only issue is that it was the pacing of it. And I don't know if that was a writing issue or if it was a performance issue. Because there were times where I was like, if it was just like maybe half a beat faster, it would have been a little bit funnier. But it was like they were trying to milk these moments where I was like, just let them say the lines. Like they don't like. I know they're trying to get them to like kind of time it with the music cues, but you can do that and have it still like, you know, TikTok, especially because Weekend Update was 18 minutes long. Like you weren't slacking on time here, guys. And so, but I thought it was I think it was Jason's best moment of the evening in this sketch, but that's because they just needed. That's because the bar wasn't very high. Sorry, but I think it was a great sketch. And John, I like what you said a lot, like this, like that Andrew Dismukes here was not doing Mikey Day, because Mikey Day is like very much just like a sad sack. Like this, like you said, a man who absolutely thinks he can still win, and like also in real life probably would. Like it's still like, you know, it's like once the veil drops. But I think that's what I always like about his element of performance, is that he does kind of root it in this concept that you can still root for him. And you're rooting for him because he is so, like Rich said, the everyday, the average man, like, you know, the normal one. And that's why he got that loud round of applause. It's like, of course we're gonna applaud for Jason Momoa, because that's the obvious applause. But the audacity for Andrew Dismukes to look that good next to Jason Momoa, that deserved that loud round of applause. Fantastic, fantastic, and that was one of my favorite moments of the evening for sure.
Sean, what did you think of Castaway?
What I loved so much about this sketch was the fact that I can kind of see the behind the scenes aspect of it. Jason, I'm going to just keep it real, and I like Jason Momoa. He's probably not as ripped as they thought he would be before they wrote it, right? He's a big dude, and I imagine him being ripped because of Aquaman, because you see that, but he wasn't in that shape right there that he's in Aquaman. And when he took his shirt off, it's a little, you know, but it's what I loved about it is that he said yes to it, like, whatever. Some, especially Hollywood people, be like, "Oh, I'm not in shape for that. I don't think that it'll play the way you want it to play. I don't feel sexy enough to do that." And he said, "Whatever. If you guys think it's funny, let's do it. And I'll play that guy, even though it's not a desirable guy to play. It's kind of a, you know, that asshole or whatever, you know, not the big dumb guy, big dumb lovable guy. But he did whatever to get through the episode, to have fun with whatever the writer said, and that to me." Imagining that moment, and also the fact that he could do this. Not everybody can. Hold up. Not everybody can do this. Hold on. Let me show you. You what's up.
Oh.
See what I'm saying? Like that takes skill right there. Not everybody can do that. Okay. Now this is the most toxic episode of Saturday Night Network you've ever seen.
What am I looking at?
You are watching testicles.
I think we're watching pec flexes with lag.
Yeah, we're watching a very laggy pec flex.
Oh, okay.
No.
I see it now. Yeah, we see it now. Yes.
And I wish I
So for you to be able to do that on live TV, that's not easy.
Eyes.
I'm doing this live, just like Jason Momoa was doing it, hamming it up in between lines, and that's what's going on. Okay, not easy to do, guys. Not easy to do. I don't think anybody else on this panel can do that. I don't think anybody in those comments can do it. And I applaud Jason Momoa for being able to do that. There's a few of us brothers in the world that can do that.
I'm obsessed with Sean's ability to think that a podcast is a visual medium.
I was making my chest jump, guys, who are not watching on YouTube like you should be.
Yeah, all of you driving in the car tomorrow, that's what Sean was doing. He was flexing
I pulled my iPad close to my chest, and I made my chesticles jump.
Sean, for your body, we're going to need you to get fiber internet at home so we can get a high def connection. We're not playing on this 14.4 modem you're connected to.
Literally, are you? Is your internet a potato? Like, what's happening?
Yo, if y'all saw these in high def, you'd be having heart attacks. Okay. You can't see this.
I'm trying not to have one now, and I wish I didn't have eyes
on that island.
I'll say. This was my favorite line from this is not my favorite line, but this line also made me laugh from this sketch.
How'd you pass the time on that island? Probably yanked it a lot.
That's how it goes.
He took some swings, and I appreciate that from Andrew. Okay, let's do some rapid fire go around. Anything else that we want to cover quickly from the episode that we didn't get to touch on yet? So Sean, anything on your list for you that you want to make sure we talk about?
They probably could have cleaned up that Wizard of Oz. What was it? The one where Masters of the Pen. They could have made the game a little more finite. Just kept it to Momoa and Day walking in and doing sillier stuff. I'm glad they didn't go racial with Keenan at the end, which would have been easy for an old, film type sketch. But yeah, that was fun though. Fun episode overall, and I got a lot more perspective listening to your guys' takes.
Thank you. We feel the same about you. So, Rich, anything else from the episode that you want to talk about?
I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff. I thought the cab driver sketch was fun at the end. I thought a lot of funny things. Hepatitis Gold made me laugh. But I really, in Weekend Update, a lot of funny in Weekend Update too, which we didn't cover. But I really liked. Oh my God! Now I'm blanking on the Imagine Dragons cover band.
Remember
Lizards. Very, very much the spiritual, child of John Bovee. But for the haters who felt like it was a ripoff, I was like, no, I just love this energy. I love them together. I love that they kept doing the same thing over and over again. And it was just like, right, this is the next generation. We're doing a similar thing. And it really made me laugh. That was really fun.
Yeah, I loved it as well. I thought it was really, really good. Amanda, you seem to like that part of Update as well, right? The Remember Lizards?
I loved it. First of all, I will always take Imagine Dragons slander. I think it's one of my favorite categories of comedy. Like arena rock slander, I will cackle at every time. I love JAJ. I have gone on the Renaissance podcast several times. I love that man. I also would just love him. I love the fact that I think he has like this rooted idea in his brain that he really wants to be a rock star or a pop star or a musician in some way, because he's done this on Update before. So he's just living out his rock star fantasy, and I'm loving that for him. I thought this was perfect. I also just need to also shout out to what I'm pretty sure and hoping is the final Bowen Yang George Santos appearance, because I know we're gonna have a trial next year. I don't really think there's anything to really milk from that rock further. Now that we've seen the ethics report and it was great and fantastic, I thought. But that line, the ending line of "You're gonna miss me when I'm gone," and I invented cups. That is such a stupid joke, so dumb, so beautifully, and that's one of those jokes where it's like that's wow, why are you making a reference to a movie that's almost 15 years old at this point? But
being better than a meme from 4 months ago.
I mean, And that was the point I was about to make. But it's like, it's a reference we all got. It's a reference we all understood. The minute those cups came out, we like, and that's how you make a throwback, timely cultural reference that doesn't feel old. And like I've been rewatching 30 Rock, and so I think a lot of that like mindset always comes in when I watch episodes of SNL when I'm doing it simultaneously, just seeing how like so much of 30 Rock has kind of aged poorly, but in the cultural reference part, it's still hilarious. So this was, and also Devin Walker's Draymond Green. I know nothing. It was great. I know nothing about the NBA. I learned all about the stuff, and I think this was great. I thought this was one of the best weekend updates they've done in a very, very long time in general. So shout out to my boys.
Remind 100%. Sean, that does remind me. I wanted to ask you about Devin Walker as Draymond Green. I know you're a big basketball fan. Did you like that?
Oh, I thought he did. Actually, he did a great job with that Draymond impression. I've heard Draymond on podcasts. That's a very good. He seems hard to do. Like I didn't know he could find that. But yeah, very good. Not that he'll be, in the news a lot, but he just happened to be for choking somebody. And that was great. The list thing, that was so funny, man. Great job. That was tight.
I mean, that's the magic of the show is when you can, I'm laughing at an impression of a person I don't know. Like you've just created a character and you've explained it well enough. And then the game of the scene does not rely on me knowing that person in real life to understand what the joke is. I thought that was so funny. I thought he was great. Yeah.
Well, you guys had no idea that Draymond is a dirty player.
No, I know.
He's a dirty player. He's a menace. And he was right. And he was right.
Rich, you also wanted to talk about the Good Nights?
It's funny because we were talking about, you said, that was in the Castaway sketch. It was one of Mimosa's best performances. I think the most fun of Jason Momoa was in the Good Nights after the talking, when we get to the music. If you haven't, go back and take a second and watch how fun it is. It will remind you why we're fans of SNL. After he says goodnight, he jumps, he does a group hug with a bunch of people and they start jumping up and down. Then he runs over, he grabs Chloe with one arm and lifts her up with one arm, and then grabs Ego with the other arm and lifts them both up at the same time and shakes them in excitement and drops them and starts bear hugging people. And regardless of whether I thought he was the best person of the night, the worst person who's ever hosted, it doesn't matter. The joy that man exuded, it was so palpable that it was another reminder of why this show is unlike any other show on any TV network, streaming service, movie. It is a moment in time that cannot be duplicated by anyone else. And it made me just so full of joy to see it.
Totally agree with you. I love every minute of stuff like that. So
I didn't notice that. I wish I would have saw. I'm gonna go back and watch it now because that would terrify me if that man started picking me up and shaking me like that. I hope he got. But it feels like that, like it was like a live game. It's like a live. It would be like a football game or something like that. It's the closest thing comedy has to a Super Bowl. So you just went through this whole week, a dress, and then you executed this thing. However it went, you just feel like you won. Like you got through it with these people. It's like probably like war or something like that. So I'm glad that there was joy at the end of it for them.
Yeah. And sometimes there's always really awkward moments.
Really? I need to watch this more. Do you?
The Good Nights is. Well, the Good Nights is a Rich Tackenberg staple going back many years.
Love the
where
Good Nights.
He used to talk about the moat. Remember, Rich? That was one
yes,
of your
of course.
Classic bits.
Did you guys see Colin just hold it up the sign? Really sweet shout out to Dana Carvey. Yeah. So sweet, so understated, sweet, just touching. Yeah, a lot of the Good Nights is the magic. Yeah.
Yes, it is the only time in the night where the veil has been lifted and we can see these people as the people that they are and not the people that they're playing on screen. And I think that's always really fun to talk through. So, and props to Jost and whoever else was a part of that for Dana and his entire family. Okay, let's talk about MVPs from the night. So every week we put out a poll for MVP to the audience to ask you who you think the MVP was from week number 5. And we're going to get the top 3 from the panel. So you can pick any cast member, any host, any musical guest. If there are cameos, you can pick one, but we didn't get any cameos this week. Though I will say this kid definitely should have been in the running.
Nah, woman.
Where in the Rome song?
Dinosaur.
Yeah, we were talking about dinosaurs. Love that kid. He did a fantastic job. But yeah, let's talk about the stats from the week. Momoa in 8 sketches. Tate McRae did 2 performances. Mikey Day led the night in terms of physical sketch appearances with 6 sketches, but Chloe Fineman did 5 sketches and 2 voiceovers. Also 5 sketches for Keenan, Ego, and Andrew. Heidi, Bowen, and JAJ in 4 sketches. Punky and Sarah in 3. For the featured players, we had Marcelo and Michael Longfellow go head-to-head in 4th position. Devin Walker, 3 sketches, Molly Carney, 2 sketches, and Chloe Trost in 1 sketch this week. We also had the PDD boys. All right, panel, let's talk about the top 3 MVP vote getters for the week. Sean, who's your top 3?
Bowen, Momoa. Oh gosh, I gotta put a Bowen, Momoa. Again, I can't put Longfellow, but I'm just gonna say his name because I love Mikey Longfellow. And Ego. Bowen, Momoa, and Ego in that order right there.
Rich, where are you going to go?
Well, I have no idea where to put Tate McRae. I don't know. I think she's 20. I have resentments that are twice as old as she is. So I don't have any connection to her. I'm going to say Bowen, Sarah Sherman, and Ego.
Bowen, Sarah, Ego. Amanda?
I'm going to say Bowen, Marcella, and Dismukes.
Oh,
okay.
Dismukes.
Do you want to change anything, Rich?
You know what? I'm gonna go Bowen, Sarah, Dismukes.
Okay. All right. Well, good thing you did change it, because for week number 5 of season 49, the MVP, as voted by you, was Andrew Dismukes at 28% of the vote. People were really happy with Andrew for this episode. So I guess you guys are listening to me. Yeah, he crushed it. 28% of the vote. Sarah Sherman at 19% of the vote comes in 2nd place with her sketch, The Untold Battle of the Sexes. People really like that. Bowen Yang in 3rd place with 16%. The Panda and Other Great Moments of the Night. Momoa in 4th place with 9%. So that is our host. And Devin Walker actually comes in 5th place with 7% with his roles as the ball boy and on Weekend Update as Draymond Green. So Andrew, Sarah, Bowen, Jason, Devin. Rich, how do you think the listeners did this week?
Pretty good. I think it's a pretty I like that Dismukes. I like that we're giving him some love. A lot of good stuff from him. So that was great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for voting today, whoever did. And we will put up that poll every Monday after every new episode of Saturday Night Live. But let's turn our attention to the show that is happening not this weekend, not during Thanksgiving week, but in a weekend a little bit from now. We have the return, finally, of Emma Stone to the show for her 5th time joining the 5-Timers Club. I am so excited to see Emma Stone host Saturday Night Live. When she first hosted all the way back in season 36 in 2010, she came on, nobody knew what to expect, and she brings it every single time she's at the show. I think I really loved each and every one of her episodes, and I'm very pumped to see her back at the show hosting for the first time since season 44. So, Sean, any thoughts of Emma Stone coming in, joining the 5-Timers Club?
Man, excited for. I don't know her work, her body of work, except for some of her SNL sketches. So yeah, I look forward to seeing it again, and to give her this toxicity of manliness. I don't like it, right, Amanda? Hello.
Amanda, let me ask you, what are your opinions on Emma Stone coming in and hosting the show, coming back for
First of all, Sean is just trying to win back points after traumatizing me. So
right.
Sean loves women.
Sean is a card-carrying feminist.
Yes,
loves women.
That's
Sean,
right.
Gloria Steinem, Roxanne Gay, all in the same category.
Come on.
Anyway, I am thrilled. I've had a lot of. My only hot take about Emma Stone is that I do not believe she should have won her Oscar for La La Land. She should have won it for The Favorite, but that's different story, different time, different story. We can talk about it. I just don't understand how John Legend can sit and let Ryan Gosling explain jazz to him, but whatever, give the movie an Oscar. But I love her. I'm so happy. I think she's one of the most underrated comedic actresses. Like, everyone gives her so much credit because she's a great dramatic actress, but she got started in comedy. She's been in comedy You know, back when she
I
was
don't know what you're
Emily.
talking about. I think she's known for being a comedic actress.
But some people, girl, you know, it depends on who you're talking to. The men know her for comedy, the women know her for drama.
Okay. All right.
This is true. I know her for comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think she's a great host. I think she's very multifaceted, very talented. We get, you know, because she can sing, she can dance, she can get around. It's great. And it's always going to be a good time for us when Emma Stone is here. And I'm hoping this also leads into 5 female hosts in a row. Lauren Michaels.
Yes. Well, I can tell you there's at least one more woman hosting SNL in that run. At least one more. So that helps. that's it. But we'll see. I'm sure we'll get that time to reveal all of that coming up in a little bit. But Rich Tackenberg, what do you think about Emma Stone finally coming back, joining the 5 Timers Club?
Yeah, I have to do some willful forgetting of Rosanna Dana. As long as I can block that out from the Emma Stone SNL lore, then I'm so excited. And I think she's great and brings great energy, great performance. She's good with cue cards, which we talked about timing tonight in some of the sketches. That matters. It really matters. So I'm really looking forward to a good cameo-filled first Christmas episode.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, for those of you who don't know, I mean, Emma Stone actually ended up marrying Dave McRae, who was part of Good Neighbor with Kyle Mooney and Beck Bennett, and, you know, is now became a part of the SNL family. And I know that Kyle and Beck aren't there anymore, but I still think this is kind of fun. Could we get Kyle and Beck appearing in this episode? I mean, that would be kind of an interesting return, but I am interested to see if they do a 5 Timers Club sketch here. You know, adding another woman to the 5 Timers Club, that's always a pretty nice opportunity. Really, the only woman celebrated 5 Timers Club sketch was actually the Jonah Hill 5 Timers Club sketch. So let's get Emma Stone to bring a lot of the women 5 Timers back in the house, including, you know, Candice Bergen, Scarlett Johansson, Tina Fey. I think it would be very fun to have all of them come by and give the jacket. And you know, we've had some really interesting 5 Timers hosted episodes over the last couple seasons, where we had Paul Rudd's episode, which was canceled sort of due to Omicron. John Mulaney's episode was probably an all-timer 5 Timers episode. And then we had Woody Harrelson, which was a low rated episode from the 5 Timers. So anyways, I can't wait to see what we're going to get from Emma Stone. We got about a week and a half to talk about it, and I'm very pumped. So before we get there, we still have some more shows coming up here on the SNN, including a show tomorrow night on Tuesday night, one of our first Tuesday night shows we've ever done here on the network, where we're going to continue our countdown of the greatest cast members of all time. That's usually on Thursday. It'll be on Tuesday tomorrow. We got 3 more cast members to reveal, and then we have Mike and Victoria back on Wednesday with all of the numbers from this episode, Jason Momoa and Tate McRae. So that's Wednesday night to kick off your Thanksgiving weekend, long weekend. No show on the weekend because we don't have one, but there will be a Thanksgiving special, I think, airing on NBC on Wednesday if you want to check that out. Next Monday night in this spot, we'll be back with our feedback show. And if you would like to participate in that feedback show, you can either send in questions. We'll put up a form online where you can send in your questions to the show and we'll answer them. Or if you wanted to call into the show, you can do that as a Patreon. Join us at patreon.com/the SNL Network, and you could podcast with us, stay on for, 20 minutes, talk about the show, talk about your thoughts on the season, answer some questions. And it's really great to do that with all of our patrons. So thanks for those who have already signed up. Cannot wait to get back into that next week. And then, of course, continuing the countdown and back here for Emma Stone week all week long to celebrate her in the 5 Timers Club. Sean Grant, thank you for joining us tonight. Where can listeners check out everything you got going on?
Hey guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Check me out on my website, seangrant.net. You can find all my Instagram and TikToks and all that stuff on there. And also, I got some tour dates coming up. You can catch me live. And I just shot a commercial with a musical guest from SNL. I can't talk about it because I signed NDAs, but there's a commercial coming out. You might recognize your boy and somebody who is a musical guest on this season of SNL.
Wow, very exciting! Can't wait to see you and Tate McRae together in a music video. Rich, thank you for joining us as well. Anything you would like to plug?
You can see me online at seangrant.gov. That's where I put all of my interesting info. Not online. If you're in the LA area, storytelling, I'm doing a show in January in Glendale, which will be super fun, and the Moth and stuff. But you obviously reach out. I always love talking SNL.
Absolutely. Amanda, please tell the listeners where they can check you out.
You can find my work at seangrant.gov.pov.uk.
Anything else?
No, for real. If you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Loch Ness Manda, like the scary Scottish monster at all places. You can also read my work at refinery29.com and leave you all kinds of crazy things. And also, happy Thanksgiving to everybody, but John, who is off having just Thursday. Happy Thursday to John.
USA.
That is called my sit on the couch and watch football day, where I don't have to have dinner with my family, interrupt my football. So that's
and you had, but you also had yours was last month. It's like a Tuesday.
Yes. Canadian Thanksgiving
and that's more weird to me.
It's in October. I think it's a Monday, but
why?
It's a Monday.
Why?
Hey. We do things weird up in Canada. We call ramen Raymond. It's a whole thing. But anyways, looking forward to
happy Thanksgiving though. But yes,
thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I also just want to mention Drew Barrymore and Melissa McCarthy, also other women, 5-timers as well. So they may show up.
Drew Barrymore will not be showing up. But yes,
we will see. You can also follow us at the SNL Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And make sure to subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Seriously, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.